What's up, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the most powerful and explosive stocks in the market right now. We actually saw some insane moves today, with some stocks popping by nearly 30% just today. So make sure to stick with us all the way towards the end of today's video. We're going to be taking a look at some of the most powerful stocks in the market, some important news that you definitely won't want to miss. And towards the end of the video, we have a $1 million smart money trade. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into today's video.
Yeah, Mike, today was actually a great day overall. So early in the morning, we did see a little bit of shakiness. The SPY started to pop down just a little bit, but we actually recovered up a ton as the day went on because a lot of growth stocks were really fueling the market today. Whenever I look at the heat map, obviously it's good to see Google and Apple up, but we did see some stocks down like Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia was down slightly. Some of the oil stocks, the healthcare was down, but we did see Tesla up a little bit, which was good. They have some news today too. Amazon was up, so very mixed day on the heat map, but that SPY came up and those growth stocks were very explosive. Whether you're looking at Square or Palantir or AI or Roblox with their earnings from yesterday, or even SPCE. I mean, it was a very explosive day in the market. So let's go. I'm glad to see all these growth stocks popping up. But Mike, the big thing was really what happened in the Bitcoin sector today, or the cryptocurrency sector. So if we go look at Bitcoin itself, it had quite the explosion, and Silvergate Capital actually flew up a ton today, up 28.5%. Man, it was a crazy day, and they had some news with Ken Griffin actually taking a stake in this while Soros is actually shorting the company. So very interesting here. Two big powerhouses kind of going at each other.
The battle of the billionaires, Tom. Here we go. But yeah, like you said, we have Ken Griffin from Citadel actually taking a $25 million stake in Silvergate Capital, so ticker symbol SI. At the same time, just like Tom said, we actually have the other billionaire, George Soros, actually betting against this stock with a put option position that is basically controlling 100,000 shares of this stock. So you combine that with just the cryptocurrency space overall having a hell of a day today. Silvergate Capital popped up in a major way, up nearly 30%. And I'll tell you, Tom, this stock SI had some more momentum than almost any other stock in the market today.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I saw even come close was Roblox, which was up 26% with those earnings. But yeah, SI was really the main stock to watch today if you were a momentum trader. But I will say, I don't know if it was SI popping that caused this growth explosion, but there were a ton of growth stocks up like 10%, like ChargePoint, DoorDash, Fubo, Roku, Beyond Meat. I mean, we saw a ton pop up, but SI was really that big one there. And, I'm really happy because it's good to see these cryptocurrency stocks finally starting to come up, and it helped push Mara and Riot even higher as well, up 18% with Mara. And going out to these daily charts, some of these stocks look like they're starting to go back on a nice uptrend after recently dipping down. So Mara looks like it started a nice uptrend at the beginning of the year, recently had a dip, and now it's kind of getting that momentum back. Same thing goes for SI, Mike. They've been having a terrible year, and it looks like right now this actually caused a lot of volatility to come back in. And, I would not be surprised if this continued. I feel like this could be a retail investor's dream, Mike. Like a lot of people have been still holding Mara, Riot, and a lot of these crypto stocks. So I hope that they can come back for a lot of people.
Like, that's the thing. When you combine like a growth stock with like the cryptocurrency industry, you have stocks like Mara, SI, Riot, HUT, stuff like that. And I guess you could even say Coinbase, to be honest. And all of these stocks have like the most like momentum flowing into them right now. With that being said, no one knows when this will stop, but historically it normally goes on for, at least a couple days. So keep a close eye on these stocks going into tomorrow and the rest of the week. The main thing you want to look for is that momentum. If tomorrow morning happens, or when tomorrow morning happens, if there's no momentum, if there's no big volume flowing in, then the trend might be over. But at the same time, if we continue to see the power that we saw today, this trend can continue to last.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really going to look for a breakout above this recent resistance here around like $23 to $24. If we could end up breaking here, it could make for another amazing move. But like you said, even check out Coinbase and some of these other stocks. I feel like a lot of them could end up popping over the next couple days. And Mike, talking about stocks popping here, we actually still have a lot of big earnings going on. So for tomorrow, we have our friends DraftKings in after hours with Applied Materials and then DoorDash there. Before the market opens, we have Datadog, Crocs, Paramount. Mike, I know we've been talking about Paramount a little bit. I actually really like that streaming company. I hope they can do a little bit better. But DraftKings is going to be the big watcher tomorrow for me, Mike. I'm really hoping they can report some good numbers with all the Super Bowl betting and everything like that went on.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the report as well. And I guess you could say, looking at some of the earnings over the past week, I know you mentioned Roblox just a couple minutes ago. You know, they're also another growth stock, and they had a decent earnings reaction, which is awesome to see. You know, they popped up by 26%, but then you look at, you know, a different growth stock, like let's say Shopify, and that one's actually tanking down a little bit in after hours. But at the same time, Shopify had lows of, you could say, like $23 a share back in October of 2022, and they've been on just an amazing run over the past couple of months. And I know Roblox has had like a decent recovery as well, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that we've seen a relatively mixed week in terms of earnings. Some of these growth stocks are popping in a major way, while some of the other ones, you know, the earnings aren't enough to continue this uptrend.
Yeah, exactly. It's very mixed right now. And I know, like, in our earnings tab on our Discord, there's a lot of stuff that's been posted by Earnings Whispers where they always compare the weekly earnings and stuff like that. So Sunday night, maybe we'll do like a comparison of how the earnings did this week. But for right now, it's definitely crazy with Shopify and after hours. Can't wait to see where they end up tomorrow. And talking about tomorrow, Mike, we even have PPI coming in and then building permits in the morning. So watch out for that 1 hour before the market opens. I don't think that's going to really affect anything too much. I'm honestly thinking that some of these earnings tomorrow morning will be a little bit more interesting, like Datadog and Paramount, and even, to be honest, even Hasbro is a pretty big company down there. So I'm definitely going to be watching these, Mike. And some of these tech stocks are doing quite well here in the short term. I know Shopify is down tonight with their earnings, but like on my watch list here, there was just so many great plays from tech stocks today. I know like Nvidia was down, for example, but then in other spaces, Square was popping, Plug Power was popping. We had a lot of pops from these EV charging stocks too.
What I think is really worth noting right now is, like, just like you said, like, we're having different movement in different areas of the market. You can look at one company like Nvidia or Tesla or Apple or some other, you know, relatively powerhouse type stock, and you know, those types of stocks aren't really moving that much in the market right now. But if you look in other areas of the market, like especially like over the past week, anything to do with crypto or some of these growth stocks, like, you know, you could say Roblox or Beyond Meat or Palantir or DraftKings, stuff like that. Those stocks are seeing most of the inflows right now. So I think like the biggest opportunity throughout the rest of the week is not necessarily looking at stocks like Apple or, you know, even the S&P 500, but more so focusing on the stocks that actually are moving with momentum. And a lot of those stocks are, you know, some of the growth stocks like we've been mentioning.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a big thing for this week, and I hope that we can continue to find this momentum. I know Palantir has been one of my favorites, Mike. We talked about this one last night a lot. We actually both had it down as our plays of the day, and man, that thing exploded again today, up another 9%, and it's still going, closed up above $10. So just goes to show, look where that momentum is and try to find those stocks that are moving, and I think we'll find some good stuff this week. And Mike, we actually saw some big news come in with Blink and Tesla today. So Blink obviously is my play of the day today, so that's why I'm mentioning them. But the news that came in was bigger for Tesla and pretty much any company that does EV charging. So the Biden administration said that they want 500,000 publicly accessible EV chargers on the roads by 2030. That sounds like a high number, but they did announce that Tesla will open up 7,500 of their charging stations to non-Tesla EV drivers. So you could charge it if you have like a Lucid, for example, and other cars. I'm not sure the compatibility but they have to be compatible, of course. But I do feel like this is a pretty cool thing, and it's going to affect a lot of companies like GM, ChargePoint, Blink, Tesla, Ford, and everybody who's been talking about these EV stocks. But I'm really going to watch Blink for the next couple days along with ChargePoint. I think those are two growth stocks that had good moves today. They weren't overly tremendous, so I don't think they're necessarily overextended. And if you look at Blink, it's actually double bottoming on the daily, bouncing off this $10 support. So I kind of like this one for a swing with this good news coming in.
Awesome. A stock that I'm watching pretty closely is VOD. So this stock has a lot of like explosive type potential, and it has a lot of strong relative volume recently. Basically right now it is trading near 25-year lows, and they just had some decent news with Liberty Global taking a 5% stake in them. So that's brought a lot of positive momentum in the short term. And we can see intraday, it has just these crazy pops with just like a ton of buying pressure that flows in. So for tomorrow and the rest of the week, and honestly over the next couple of weeks, I'm really watching this one to the upside. It's relatively low right now, and it has a lot of momentum with news and strong relative volume.
Yeah, this is a lot of volume. I mean, look at these candles right here. These three green candles are some of the biggest moves that this stock has had over the past 6 to 8 months. I mean, obviously there's been big moves, but now within like a 3-day span like this, that is actually pretty big there. So yeah, I like this, Mike. It has a lot of momentum, and I feel like it could be a pretty big one as we start to go on here. But of course, how could I not mention NVIDIA, which we already talked about? I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday as well. I'm still watching and waiting for a double top breakout up here right around 230. I know I talked about this yesterday, but what was interesting is they kind of fell down today. It didn't really have too much momentum. So I'm going to actually watch this one to the upside and the downside for tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and watch if it ends up falling below 225 intraday, where I've seen some support. I'm going to go ahead and watch for maybe a quick put option to the downside. But, if we do end up breaking 230, I think that playing some calls up could obviously be good. And I honestly hope the whole market keeps flying up like it did today. That way it might help NVIDIA push higher.
Alrighty. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Rivian, RIVN. So I've actually hated on this stock a ton in the past due to how it's been valued. It was just absolutely ridiculous when it first came onto the market. I think it was like the world's third largest electric vehicle company in terms of valuation. And at the time they had, I believe, $0 in revenue. And since that point, the stock has just cratered. But now it's to the point where it's pretty oversold. It has some pretty strong momentum in the short term. We're seeing some decent news with electric vehicles. And overall, I just think that the setup is pretty good, especially with the volume coming in. And then especially given just like how much power and momentum there is not only with Rivian right now, but just the EV industry.
Yeah, that whole industry today was insane, whether it's Rivian or Lucid or Tesla or Blink or ChargePoint. I mean, they were all kind of flying up today. But yeah, I think Rivian's going to be cool, Mike. And, I've been seeing them, a lot of their trucks coming out and stuff, and I still think that their trucks look pretty awesome. I know a lot of people say that these new EV companies are having some issues, like with breakdowns and stuff like that. But I will say the stock looks very nice here in the short term, and I really like this support bounce at like $18. I think that has a lot of momentum. It looks very bullish, and man, that whole sector, like we said, popped off today, and I love that about Rivian and just all of these stocks, whether it's Blink, Rivian, or Charge, but even Tesla. Even Tesla had a great day, holding up above 200 well and continuing even higher there at close.
Alrighty, well, Tom, before we move into the momentum plays, we have to take a look at the SPY. It didn't really move too much today, but it had a decent move towards the end of the day to the upside. What are the main levels we need to know going into tomorrow?
Yeah, so we're still waiting for the SPY to kind of move out of this range. Ever since Monday, the SPY has been kind of stuck between like 410 and 415 here. I'm really waiting for a big move tomorrow up to around 415 to at least retest that resistance up there, and then possibly for a breakout above 415. I do have 414.50 as a big level from the past as well, but I think 415 would be better given on Tuesday we had that hit there. So I'm definitely going to be watching that very closely to the upside. If we end up breaking there, I'll watch for a push up to the top of that wick in pre-market Tuesday around 416.50. So there's a couple levels to the upside. To the downside, this 412.50 area from today was pretty big. We actually saw a few bounces there, a few hits. So watch that to the downside as a support if we fall. Also watch 411 if we break under that, multiple hits there today as well. And then at that low of day, right around 409.50 to 410. That's going to be a big support too. Now, if we do have a terrible day and we end up breaking below 410, which I'm praying we don't do, I'm going to watch 408.50. But if we get below that, we'd be having a pretty bad sell-off at that point.
All righty. Well, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Disney to the upside.
DIS. I am so glad to see this one flying up ever since Bob Iger took back over. Let's go ahead and make Disney break out above 109.50 tomorrow morning.
All right. With the next one, we have Rivian also to the upside.
RIVN. Gotta love that one, Mike. Right up above 21.20.
And with the last one, we have good old Riot also to the upside.
RIOT with the cryptocurrencies here. Go ahead and make Riot break. I would say make them break $7. You know, they're on quite the uptrend, and that's a pretty big resistance there. So I would make them break 7 before I got in intraday.
All right. So we are watching Riot, Rivian, and Disney for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But it is now time for my favorite part of the video, and that's the big money trade of the day. Today we had around $1 million go into the FSLY call options. And I will say this trade's a little bit advanced, but I'm going to break it down in a nice and easy way for everyone. So basically, in a simple way, we had $1 million go into call options on FSLY, where the big money wants this stock to go as high as possible. As we break down the trade in a little bit more of an advanced way, essentially this is a call debit spread where the big money is basically making a bet that FSLY will go ideally in a perfect world to around $25 per share. If that happens, they would make quite a nice return on this trade. But essentially what happened is the hedge fund in this scenario bought the $17.50 strike call options and sold the 25 strike call options, which is a call debit spread, and this expires on June 16th of 2023. But like I said, in a nice and simple way, all you need to know is that we have big money betting that this stock will rise going forward, and this trade expires on June 16th. It is a little bit out of the money, but it looks pretty bullish. I like the risk reward situation with this trade. It's not something that I would go like extremely heavy on, but I feel like overall, you know, it's a little bit more of a risky trade, but at the same time, there's a decent payoff to it as well.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I'll tell you, Fastly is down a lot right now, and they have a big gap to fill on this chart between like 22 and 28. So if they could even get into the middle of that gap, that would be right around that $25 area that we talked about. But Mike, I know this is a little bit more advanced for a lot of our viewers out there being a call debit spread. I know there's a lot of guys out there who trade these, of course. But like, let's just say they didn't want to get, you know, into a debit spread. Let's say they just wanted to get naked call options and maybe follow this. Would you recommend not going with the 1750 strike calls, maybe going with like the 13 strike calls or the 15 strike calls might be a little bit safer, right?
Yeah, I would say so 100%, you know, because the reason that they're doing this spread is because they want to really combat the time decay and they want to just, you know, give themselves like a better risk reward situation overall. And basically what comes at the cost of that is limited profits. So, you know, you can kind of, I don't want to say mimic the trade, but you can get a somewhat similar trade as a call debit spread, just like Tom said, just by getting, you know, some call options, maybe a little bit closer to the money, you know, maybe 13 strike or 14 strike, somewhere around there, and it should be fine.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit, it's still going to be a little bit riskier though, guys, keep in mind than this. But what I do like is that they have some time on this all the way out to June. So keep that in mind too. You know, this might not be something that's going to explode over the next 2 days, although with the way it's been going, I would not be surprised. There is a big resistance, it looks like, coming up right around 1450. So keep that in the back of your minds too if you guys are following this. But I'm going to keep it on the radar, Mike, because all these growth stocks are popping. Fastly's been on quite the uptrend this week, to say the least. I mean, these past 3 days have been amazing.
Yeah, and one thing that I could see just by looking at the Fastly chain right now is for the June 16th expiration, there's only like a 15 strike, a $12.50 strike, and then a $17.50 strike. So when in doubt, it doesn't hurt to buy more time, and it also doesn't hurt to get closer to the money, because by doing those two things, you can just increase your, probability of the option actually expiring in the money. So definitely make sure to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it looks like that $12.50 strike actually isn't too bad, Mike. It's going for like what, $325, $335 right now. It looks like the high was at like 353 today. So still pretty affordable, I'd say, for that stock. It is only $12.50 though. So it is a little bit lower price. But what I love about Fastly is just I think it just has a lot of potential to keep going because man, these growth stocks are on fire right now.
Here we go. So for tomorrow, Tom, do you have any final thoughts or any other stocks that you're keeping your eye on behind the scene?
Man, I don't know if I could have another final thought other than this heat map is very, I would say, underwhelming compared to the overall moves that we saw today out of these growth stocks. Like Beyond Meat, what a move today. Coinbase, SI, of course, Palantir, even like AMC, GME, even those stocks were kind of flying up today. So it was a great day in the growth sector. Some of those bigger stocks made it seem a little bit worse than it actually was today. So just keep these growth stocks in the back of your minds for the next couple of days. They've been down a lot the past year or so, and hey, they're starting to finally get some momentum. So keep watching them. I know SI is going to be something to really keep my eyes on. I would actually not be surprised, Mike, if maybe like Wall Street Bets or something started getting into this a little bit. I'm sure it's already trending on there right now.
Yeah, and another thing too is I know there's a lot of short interest with this one as well. From the reports I saw, it's around 70%. So anytime you get, strong momentum, decent news, plus like a growth stock running in a big way, plus a lot of short interest, can get pretty interesting.
Yeah, it could be a potential short squeeze coming. So watch out, guys. Let's go ahead and keep it on the radar. And I'll tell you, if it ends up breaking this resistance like 23, it's going to look awesome tomorrow. So I'm keeping it on the radar along with all these other growth stocks. But let's go, Mike. Honestly, it was a pretty good week. The SPY had some good moves back up so far. And, we're not done. We still have some big earnings tomorrow with DraftKings. So let's pray that those end up going well.
Awesome. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. In basically every single nightly video, we also cover big money trades from institutions and other smart money sources. Those are the multi-million-dollar trades that you always see us talking about. So definitely make sure to subscribe to see those more often. And another thing is we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, your boy Dan in the StockedUp Discord. You've been in the chat for over 2 years now, and it's awesome to see all of the activity that you have in the chat. So definitely make sure to keep it up, and giant shout out to you. Besides that, guys, let's have an amazing end to the week.